Welcome, everybody. This is Robert with the Digital Business International, and today we are going to learn about the basic 3D world building skills in Sansar. So, thank you for joining me today, morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you might be chiming in. Thank you for your time. So, folks, today we're going to be covering the basics of how to get into the Sansar editing mode, how to use the controls, how to bring in items into a world. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started here. So first and foremost, to the left side of my screen, you'll see these blue buttons, okay? And here it has the create button. This is where you're going to go into edit mode, okay? So all you have to do is hover your mouse over the little magic wand right there, and it says create. We're going to go ahead and click the button create, okay? So now it's going to open up the window that says create. You'll see style my avatar, host an event, and build worlds. This is the icon that we're going to click on next. Okay, so now we're into where it says my worlds. So signing into this for the first time, you're not going to have any worlds in here. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is go up to this blue button up right here that says create and click the create button. Then we're going to go ahead and name the world. So I'm just going to call this training. And then let's go ahead and choose a template, which Sansar has many templates that you can choose from to get started. So we're going to go ahead and just do a base template scene, okay? So once you have labeled the scene and selected a template that you want to use, we're going to go ahead and click the red button create. So now we have a fresh slate right here, and now we can start creating. Okay, so now right here you have the edit scene. The next button is going to be the visit world. The next one's going to be publishing options, and then more options. So we'll get more in detail with this later on, but for right now we're going to go ahead and click on the pencil that says edit scene. Okay, so now we have a blank base plate with, you're going to have a spawn point when you first come in, and then you're going to have a grid with a skybox. So how cool is that? So the first thing that I want to cover is the buttons at the top up here. Okay, so what's cool about Sansar is it's very intuitive, and all you have to do is hover your mouse over each icon, and it does give you a basic description of what it is. So right here this is about the scene. The next one over is the tools, which this is where we're going to spend most of the time today. Right here is import. Next one is visibility, and the next one is options. And of course right here, folks, we have save, build, and publish. So most important, folks, save is going to be the most important button that you're going to be clicking in here, because if you do work, say you totally forget about how long you've been building and creating in the world, and all of a sudden maybe your internet might go out or whatever. If that happens, guess what? You're going to lose all your work. So I'm usually playing it like a baseball game. If I do 3 things, I go back and I hit save. So 3 strikes and you're out, right? So just save as much as you can, save often, and that will make it for a greater experience with creating. And definitely don't want to frustrate you with all the hard work that you do, and then you lose that awesome work. So save button, of course, once you click that, it's going to save whatever the last edit that you did. That's where it's going to save up to. The build option, that's basically when you want to save and build it, and then have it available to where people can actually go visit that scene and all the edits that you made into actual live mode. Okay, and then publish is when you're going to get it set up on Sansar where like the whole world can see it. You can bring people in there and they can visit you, and this is where you can put a description of your world. So right now I'm just going to just do a quick overview of these. But what I want to do next is get into the edit mode, so which we already are. And so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and talk about the adjusters. Okay, so you basically have the up and down, you have the basically the 360, and then you have the resize and shrink mode right here. So let's do this. Let's go ahead and open up our tools. Okay, and I may start at the top up here with the properties. Basically, the properties is basically going to be everything that that object has, you know, I want to say on the inside and outside of it, okay? Then you have the scene settings. This is where you're going to make certain adjustments. Maybe it's the lighting of the scene. Maybe it's, you know, adjusting the skybox. Maybe it's putting sound, you know, into your scene. Like maybe you're doing a scene where there's trees and you want wind to be, you know, blowing around and, you know, to give that ambiance, right? And then of course we have the inventory. This is where you're going to have all basically everything that you're going to be putting in your scene as an object. It's going to be in your inventory, and we'll get more in depth of what you'll find in your inventories. Okay, now you have scene objects. This is basically a way that once you put everything in your scene, you can actually, instead of like going to each object in the scene, you can actually go like it's in a file. So you can look for it through the whole experience in a file. You know, that definitely saves time. Okay. Object structures. This basically is if you like put a bunch of objects together and you want to have them like in one. I'm trying to think one basket. I guess that's the best way of saying it. You can look through the object structures. And then I'm not going to spend too much time on the adjust object, object stats, and the diagnostics, but diagnostics is very important when building your scene because this is the thing. The more you put in, the more computing power that you have to have. Okay, so when you first start, of course, you're going to be putting all this stuff in. You're like, this is so cool. You know, I like this scene. Then all of a sudden, you're like, man, every time I try to load in here, the system crashes. That might be because you have too much in the scene and it's just weighing too heavy on your computer that your computer just cannot process it. So the diagnostics is a great tool to make sure that you're making your world effective and efficient. Okay, so let's go back up and let's go ahead and put let's take an object and put it in our scene here in our world. So let's find something. Let me just type in car. Let's see if I have a car in the inventory. Hover car. Okay, so we'll just use this as an example. Let's see. So all we're going to do is we're going to left click on the object, turns blue, and then we're going to just drag it right into the scene. Okay, there we go. You can go ahead and exit out of that. Okay, so as you can see, you know, there's no color on this object here. This was basically a free object that I got off TurboSquid. So another part of the course that I will teach you folks is how to find 3D assets that are free online that you can bring into your environment. Okay, but today what I want to focus on is how to use all the adjusters. Okay, so as you can see, you have the up and down, you have the near and far, and then you have the left and right. Okay, so there might be another way to say that, but for this training purpose, I'm going to keep it really simple for everybody. Okay, so here we have the blue, which is the up and down, the green is the left and right, and then the red is near and far. Okay, so that is everything you need to move that object in all three directions. Okay, the next one we have is the rotate. Okay, and if you notice underneath the sign right there, it says rotate or hold control. Okay, so I'm going to go back to this. Watch what I do. When I hold control on this icon, what does it do? It actually goes to the rotate button. So these are quick keys that you can use to not have to keep going up and clicking. You can just use your keyboard to change the function. So right now it's on the up and down, left, right, and forward and back. If I hit control on my keyboard, it goes to the rotate, and if I go up and I hold my thumb on there or just hold my middle finger and go up to the shift, what is it going to do? It's going to go ahead and give you the enlarge and shrink. Okay, So let's go back to the rotate. So if I grab the blue line right here, it's going to rotate. See that? If I go to the green line, it's going to rotate it this way. See that? If I go to the red line, it's going to rotate like this. So how cool is that? Okay, so now let's go ahead, hit Control, and then we're going to hold Shift down, and we're going to grab on the box. So every time when I'm clicking on this, I'm left clicking on these objects, okay, or on these adjusters, okay. Watch what I do. I'm shrink it. There you go. So I'm left clicking. I'm basically swinging it to the right to enlarge it, swing it to the left to shrink it, okay. So how cool is that? Okay. So another important tool, and we'll actually go back and do that one more time, but the next tool that I want to talk to you about is actually your view, okay? So this is very important, knowing where you're at, what you're doing in the scene, and this is the first tool I would say get really proficient with, okay? Because this is you actually in this world. You know, you might not be able to see your hands, but you got total control over your visual. You got total control of where you're going to be in the scene. So let's do this. I'm going to go ahead and go. Let's see if I'm able to. Okay, it's not going to let me show the desktop controls. So let me do this. I'm going to go ahead and go into. Let's go ahead and build. We're going to go ahead and save and continue because I do want to pull up the basic controls so you can see what I'm talking about, and then we'll put them all into effect, okay? So we're going to go ahead and visit this scene. Okay, and here's my avatar. We're going to go ahead and exit out that right there. So let's go ahead and open up the desktop controls. So here we go, folks. Let me make sure that you can see everything here. Okay. All right. So most important, folks, I'm going to start from the left to right, and we're just going to talk about everything here, okay? So we have the A, S, D, and W buttons, okay? So the W button basically is going to move your camera forward or move your avatar forward, okay? The A button is going to move it to the left, the D button is going to move it to the right, and the S button is going to move it backwards, okay? Now, you can also, they don't show it here, but the arrow keys that you have on the right side, if you don't want to use your mouse, you can actually use those arrow keys, and it does mimic this right here, the AWSD, okay? So, of course, the forward control will be forward, left, right, and backward is backwards, okay? So you can use those as well. A lot of people don't realize that you can, but you can, okay? So the next thing I'm going to talk about is the control button right here in the shift. Just like I was showing you, if you hold the control button, it's going to go to the rotate. If you hit the shift button, it's going to go to the enlarge and shrink. But in this purpose right here, this is actually, the shift button will actually control the speed of your avatar. So it'll make it basically walk and run. And if you use the control, let me see here, let me make sure that we can see the bottom of the screen. Oh, you know what? I just realized that my resolution on my PC is cutting that off. So let's go ahead and shrink this down, open this up a little bit more. Okay, so so the control button right here, when you're in edit mode, is the it's like the engaging button for other keys up here when you're in edit mode. Okay, so if I hit Control Z, it will basically back up to where I first was. Okay, so say I make a bunch of edits and I'm like, oh, I just moved this whole scene over, I need to put the floor back in. Say you move the whole floor, all you have to do is hit Control Z and it'll go back one pace. Okay, so Control Z is back. All right, the next one, Control D, is actually duplicate. So what's going to happen, and you're going to hear the object go bump bump like that. That's basically duplicated. Okay. Let's see. Another one would be if you hit Control, actually I'll probably have to go back into edit mode just so that I can have my mind shift over there. But just keep in mind, Control Z is back and Control D is duplicate. Those are really important functions that you need to have to make your builds go very fast. Okay. So going back to, so I'm kind of talking both the edit and how to navigate your avatar. But you'll see as you get used to being in edit mode and as you move your avatar where the buttons best fit, and you'll get used to it very fast. So the space button when you're actually in the scene, walking around with your avatar, that's actually jump. Now, being in regular mode, if you hit F4, it's going to break the cam from your avatar, meaning that how you see where the camera is, wherever around your avatar, you can actually like leave it away from your avatar. You can move it away from your avatar and see, like, you know, maybe it's for like taking pictures. Maybe you just want to go look around the scene without moving your avatar around. You can do it that way. F3 is basically looking through your avatar's eyes, so that's third person. F1 basically help in reporting any issues with the system. Okay, so moving over to the right side over here, you have the negative button, then you have the plus button. So in regular mode, if you wanted to zoom around with your camera, right? Because there is speeds with your camera. So if you have it really slow, it's going to take a long time for the camera to move around the scene. But all you have to do is hit the plus button. With I believe it's you hit Control and plus. So I'll make sure that, yeah, that's right. So Control plus, Control negative will slow and speed up your camera. And of course over here, let me open this up a little more, you have your mouse, okay? So when you left click on things, that selects it. When you right click on things, that basically grabs hold the screen. So it's like if you're looking around left and right, you'd hold the left mouse down and you'd be able to look to the left, look to the right. If you let go of that, your head's not going to turn left and right, okay? And another feature Sansar doesn't explain here, but if you hit escape, that basically allows you to where you don't have to hit the right button to move it. You can just move your mouse and it's going to look left and right, okay? And I'll show you that when we're in that mode. And of course, if you have a roller on top of your mouse, which most mouses do, if you click it down, that will actually res up your teleporter, okay, which is going to be a blue little line with a little circle on it, which we can show you more in depth with that once we go into regular mode. And of course, if you roll your roller back, that's going to zoom in on the camera. If you roll it forward, it's going to zoom out. Okay? So let's go ahead and hit done there. And seeing that we're in edit mode, I'm going to go ahead and show you the controls. So here I am. I'm pressing down on the roller on the top. It's giving a little blue line, and what I'm going to do is once I let off the roller on top, it's going to teleport me to that area. So watch this. Boom. I just got teleported. Okay, so let's do it again. Press down on the roller on top of your mouse and let go. Okay. So another way to set your teleporter, or to use your teleporter, what you want to do is hit the X on your keyboard. Okay, I'm hitting X, and now I'm just pointing where I want to go. And in order to go to that direction, I have to left click on the mouse to actuate. Okay, so there we go, just teleported. Now if it turns red, that means that there isn't any collision there for your avatar to land on. Okay, so if you get the red, that means that you're not going to be able to teleport. When it turns blue, that means everything's okay. All right. All right, so let's go ahead and let's do the break free with the camera. So I'm going to hit F4, and then I'm just going to use my the WASD buttons to move around. See that? So I'm hitting the S button right now. And another thing that they didn't have on the control panel is the E button, which basically goes up, and then the C button, which goes down. Okay. So if you're trying to really hone in on a shot, say you're using this to maybe do a live or something, you want to use your avatar and you want to really get the camera angle just right, You know, the AWSD and E and C are going to be very paramount. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and click over on the negative, and as you can see, it's slowly going back. Okay, now if I hit plus, watch this, it's going to speed up until I totally escape myself. Okay, there we, whoop, it's like the Matrix. Okay, so let me go ahead and slow it down. So I usually have my camera speed about this, but it's like 3 clicks forward. Okay, so that is the negative and plus. I'm still in F4. Okay, now to get back into your avatar, all you have to do is hit F4 again. Okay, so watch this. I'm going to go ahead and stand way back here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit F4 and watch what happens. Boom, I'm right back in my avatar, or where my camera should be, looking over the shoulder. Okay, so let's see what else we can talk about on the controls. So AWSD, that's good. Okay, so shift, we're going to talk about the shift button. So right now I have my avatar where he's running. So all I got to do is hit shift, and now he's going to walk. Okay, so I'm going to hit shift, he runs. I'm going to hit shift again, he walks. Okay. All right, so another, let's see if I got everything. Okay, let's do the escape button. So I'm going to go ahead and hit escape, and it has a low circle. Okay, so now it basically stays in the front. The circle will basically be where, you know, it's kind of like a pointer. So there's actually folks that are building shooting games. This is how you would use that to actually point and shoot or whatever look. But a lot of people that first come into Sansar, I realize that trying to use your left hand and then use your right hand, there's a lot of things that you got to be thinking of. So what really helps them out, I just say go ahead and hit escape button, and then all they're doing is moving their mouse to look in the direction they want to look. So you can look up, you can look down, you look side to side, and then all you have to do is just use the W and you can walk that way. So, and what I'll do is I'll also cover, you know, the best settings to set your experience up so in that way it doesn't confuse you. So there's many ways you can set the keyboards up and have the functions on your board, but you know, Sansar does have a basic standard. Depending what country and what type of a PC you have, it might have a different control on there. So I know with laptops, the function key plus whatever keys we're doing at the top. So for like a laptop, you'd have to hit the FN key plus the F4 in order to break the cam free. Okay. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump right back into edit mode. So let's go back to the wand, and let's go back to the build worlds. We go ahead and click on the training, click on the pencil to edit the scene. Okay, so we're back in the scene. So you got the basics of how to move your avatar around, and those same functions basically apply in edit mode as well. So let's do this. So what I'm going to do is AWSD, so I'm going to move back, I'm going to move forward, left and right with my camera. And then let's do this. Let's slow down the speed. So let me go ahead and hit negative, see this? Let me speed it up. Okay, so in edit mode, you're going to find your pace of how you can work with how fast you want to adjust your camera speed, okay? Because sometimes, you know, when you're doing detailed stuff, you got to slow your camera down. Sometimes when you're like building out the whole scene, you know, you can speed your camera up so you can move things around really fast, okay? All right, so let's talk about the, you know, when I first started building, I didn't really understand what this was right here, but all I can say is this is where you res up. This is the spawn point, okay? This is where my avatar will res into the scene, okay? Now, if you have this below the ground or the collision right here, what's going to happen is you're going to fall through your world. So I tell everybody, you know, go ahead and set your spawn point at least 6 to 8 feet, you know, above the ground. So that way when you res in, you're not going to be falling through the floor. Okay, that's very important. Okay, So let's go back to the object right here. And like I said, I was going to go over the adjusters again. So we're going to go ahead and left click on it. And as you know, it shows a blue haze around it. That lets you know that you're actually selecting that object. Okay, so let me go ahead, just bring in one more object here. Let's bring in a tree. Okay. Just going to drag and drop it in. So I left clicked on it, and there's the tree. I go ahead and put it in the ground. Okay, so watch this. When I click on this, that turns blue. That shifted from blue to the regular color. When I click on that, that turns blue. That lets you know that you are selecting that object. Okay. So let's go ahead and rotate it. So I'm going to grab the blue line with my mouse, and I'm just going to left click on it and move it, just like that. Okay, now sometimes I find it's when you're rotating things to get above it so that way you get a better control of the rotation. When you have it like right on the line, like right level on the line, it's really hard for the editor to know which way you're trying to rotate it. Watch this. It's like it just flips around real quick. So when you're rotating it left and right, it's best to get on top of the area right here and rotate like that. You got full control. Same thing with the left and right. See that? If you're too far on it or right on the line, it's going to be hard to control. Yeah, see how it just flipped? Okay, so let's move it back. Okay, and then of course the red, left and right. So one thing in building worlds, okay, so I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to go ahead and hit Control D. Hear that little sound? And all I'm going to do is move it. Control D again. All I'm going to do is move it. Control D, move it again. Just like that. Okay, so this right here, it's uniform in a way. Now, does this, I mean, this doesn't look natural, right? If it's exactly the same, so what you want to do is go and click on it, hit the blue, shift that way, maybe move it this way, maybe move it down a little bit, move this one over this way, and then maybe what we'll do is we'll enlarge this one. Okay, so now the scene totally looks, you know, like it's not the same, right? But they are all the same trees. You know, there's nothing different about it. Just it's a different shape. It's a rotated different way, but they all look like they're different now, right? Instead of being in that straight line, looking the exact same. So just want to keep that in mind when you're building to make it look as realistic as possible. If it looks too uniformity, that's just a novice, you know, build right there because they haven't done anything with the shapes. Okay, so let's do this. What are we going to build here? Let's go ahead and make this like a forest with this space car. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and let's go into our inventory. Let's find a ground. Let's put in some ground. Forest, rocky, sand, ground. Let's put that in there. Go ahead and move it like that. Okay, there's that scene right there. Now, a lot of folks like to use the grid right here. You don't necessarily have to use it. Once you put in a ground, you can just go from that. But it does kind of help line things up, pace things out, count. I mean, it's used for many purposes. So what I'm going to do here, let's put in some water. Let's see here, water. Okay, not that one. Let's type in ocean. Okay. There's the water. Okay, so we want to cover the scene. So what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and hit Control, Shift. Let's fill the whole scene up there with water. Okay, now we'll just keep it like that for right now. Hey folks, so now we're going to talk about how to get things in your inventory. So the first thing you're going to do is go ahead, you can either click over on the shop over here, but there's many ways to do it. We're going to do it from the actual inventory itself. So we're going to go ahead and go into Create, go into Build Worlds, and let's go up to the Edit. Okay, so how we're going to add new items to our inventory. We're going to go ahead and go into the tools, go into the inventory itself, and see this little blue button. It says Shop the Store. Okay, now this is the thing, folks. There are free items on there, and I definitely urge you to download all the free assets that you can so you can build your worlds at no charge. Okay, so let's go ahead and go Shop the Store. Let's go find some more trees. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and type in tree. There's 867 items that are trees. Let's go to the lowest to highest of the price. And let's scroll through. Dead Desert Tree. I think that fits that scene. So I'm going to go ahead and get that. I already have it in my scene, but I'm going to go ahead and redeliver it. Exit out. Dead Desert Tree right there. So let's go ahead and put some Dead Desert Trees over here. Left click on it, drop right in, and there they are. Okay, so you can either keep dropping them in or you can go ahead and duplicate. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Control D, and I just duplicated it. Let's bring it over here, bring it down. This one we can sink down into the ground. You can go ahead and rotate it so it's a little different. You go ahead and duplicate it again, bring it over to this side. This one I may go ahead and shrink down. Oh, duplicate it real quick. I'll bring it down. Let's go ahead and hit Shift, and we'll shrink it down a little bit. Oh. Shrink it down. Shrink it down. There we go. We're going to go ahead and build. Let's bring it down. Now if you want to take out the grid, all you got to do is click on it. So we're going to go ahead and click on the grid and just hit delete, and the grid is out. Okay, so let's go ahead and take these trees and let's put some more trees in. Now I feel like I'm Bob Ross, and let's put in a little tree here, let's put a little tree there. So let me go ahead and hit Control and delete, or not Control D, Control D, and we got more trees. Let's put them over here. Okay, now watch this. I'm going to go ahead, hold the control down, and click on each tree. And then I'm going to hit Control D, and I just duplicated all those again. See how the work, you can speed your work up? Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down on the control and click on more. And I'm going to hit Control D, and watch what I'm going to rotate it, and I create more trees. So as you can see, the control function is an imperative. It will make you more efficient and speed up your work and design. Okay, So then all you got to do, if something's not in the right area, just move it around. So what I find, a lot of people don't realize that their trees are floating in the air. So you got to make sure. So this is a kind of like, I guess, a rainforest area. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's adjust the lighting in the scene. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go up to the tools. We're going to click on the scene settings. And let me open this up, and we'll just cover this real quick here too. So, of course, avatars can collide. Personally, for me, I like to have them collide because I don't like people walking through each other. But if you're in an experience where there might be a lot of people walking, maybe it's a game design or whatever, having the avatar controls where they do not collide might be perfect for that. For me, I like to take off some of the gravity so my avatar can jump a little higher. So I like to move it down to about 55. So now we have the item source. Okay, this is for this is your backpack, which is on the left-hand side here. This is when you're in the scene. There's basically items in there. If you don't want any people to take out items out of their backpack, like maybe a baseball or a beach ball or whatever like that, or there's going to be dice in there, you can just hit none. Okay, but we'll keep the sensor library on where you can add things to the scenes from your backpack. Skybox. So we were talking about we wanted to adjust the color. So this one, I'm going to go ahead and add the Vegas system here, which I'll show you later on how to add skyboxes into your scene. Okay. So as soon as it's loading right now, let's come back to that. But if you want to adjust the brightness, okay, all you have to do is adjust this right here. Okay. So let's go ahead and come down here. So you have the fog. You can actually adjust the fog color. Just click on the little sampler right there, and you can adjust it just like that. So you get all these colors that you can adjust to. I'm going to go ahead and put some blue into it. Go ahead and hit accept. And there we have like a blue world with the big moons. So you can adjust the fogs. Sky distance, I would crank that up to 100,000. I wouldn't get too much into adjusting these effects right here. Sensor does a pretty good job on getting everything where it needs to be, but you can also adjust, the shades, the exposure, how things shine on things, all through here. Okay. I would say when you're first beginning, keep it on no processing, because it's gonna if you process it with a preview, standard, or best, you're adjusting the quality of the graphics, right? And when you're in edit mode, you really don't need to do that. So I would keep the no processing, keep that on. But when you get ready to actually publish it, when you want like ecstatic, astounding, and just great visuals, this is where you're going to adjust that. It's kind of like the overall mix of the experience. So I usually keep mine on standard. When I say, okay, I'm done designing this world, I'll go back into the scene settings and hit standard. And it'll take a little while for it to upload. Okay. Of course, you have the sound sources. You can put sounds in your inventory, and you can also stream sounds from like YouTube. Okay, so how cool is that? Of course, you have the loudness on each of the sounds. Computer reverb. It's totally up to you if you want to have sounds feeling like you're on a lake or whatever, like it's echoing and stuff. That's where the computer reverb is. Here's where you can actually, and we'll get into another class with this, but if you want to upload like YouTube videos or YouTube sounds, this is where you would upload those. And of course, if you're playing any videos, if you have a media screen, you can adjust the size of the screen. Allow free camera. Okay, so maybe some people don't want you looking all over their world. Maybe they want you to explore it with your avatar. You can give them that option right here. So if I took breakaway free cam, I turned that off. You wouldn't be able to move your cam out of your avatar. And also the teleport, you can have that off. A lot of people will turn that off if they don't want people teleporting to their scene and disrupting them. So a lot of great functions here. Teleport range, I usually crank that all the way up. Bypass spawn point, you definitely want to keep that on. Here's the scripting. This will be another class that we'll talk about. Scripting adds functionality to your scenes. And then we have the grid right here, which is, right now we delete it out, so it turned it off. But if we ever want to put the grid back in, you just turn it on, and it'll be back, okay? And then you can adjust the spacing with your grid as well. Okay, so seeing that we went through the scene settings, we did adjust the skybox. It's kind of like a dusk. We got a blue sun there. Okay, so that looks like it's in the right place. Okay, all right, so this is what we need to do. So this right here, it's not shining on the right area right there. So I can see that the sun should be over here because this is where the light is, right? And it looks like, okay, so the light is, okay, so let me show you how to adjust that. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into scene objects, okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to look for our directional light. Okay, so what I did is scene objects, look for directional light, then I'm going to go ahead and right click on that and we hit focus. So now we have the direction of the light in the scene. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to match this up to where where it should be. So it should be down over this way, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit control, move my light this way. Let's move it up like this. Let's put it, I think it should be over, oh, I think it should be right there if you ask me. Let's see, let's maybe move it like right there. That seems realistic. We can even move it like right there. Let's go back down. Let's see how the light shines. So lighting is everything. Lighting makes the world realistic, okay? If you have your lighting wrong, you can definitely tell. So now look how it totally changed the scene. It looks like we're in a dark forest somewhere, okay? So let me go ahead and bring up the light just a little bit so it's kind of dark in there. So let me go ahead and bring the light up so we can see lighting is everything. Let's just put it up right at 0. So we can come over here and hit 0. There we go. So let's go ahead and hit save. Remember I said if you get too far down the road, internet might have an issue, however. Let's keep saving here. And let's see what this looks like with our avatar. Let's go ahead and build. Go ahead and hit visit. Okay, so we are in our scene. Okay, so I am trapped. So this is what's happening. I cannot get out of this area right here because I'm stuck in the collision of this tree, okay? So a lot of people are like, what did I just do? I can't move in my scene. So let me show you exactly what's happening. Okay, so we're going to go back into, let me see how I can show you. Let's see, more options, diagnostics. So let me just show you. See, I'm stuck in the collision of this tree, so it's not allowing me to get out of this collision right here. Okay. So let's go back into edit mode. And see where this spawn point is in the collision of this tree. So let's go ahead and move this over. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and hit build, save and continue. And folks, all I can say is your mind is the limit when it comes to creating in these 3D worlds. You know, there's never a one way of doing things. That's all I can say. Okay, so let's go ahead and visit. And now we can move around in our scene. So let me go ahead and... So now what's happening is I put the trees so close together, it blocked me in that area. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at the sun on the moons, and let's just look around our scene. So folks, that is our start of the basic success training for 3D world building. And again, thank you for your time. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Robert Carlisle, and I hope you found value in this training. And definitely look forward and look for the next training that we have to offer here. We will go through basic world builds. We'll go through all the functionalities. And every time that we do a build here, we'll put it in a scene that will give you ideas to build on your own. So with that being said, thank you for your time, and we hope you enjoyed this training. Bye-bye now. Hello folks, so today's assignment will be, let's create a portfolio and let's get some items in your inventory. Okay, so let's get a ground in your inventory. Let's get 2 types of trees in your inventory. Let's get a car or a bus or some sort of vehicle in your inventory, and let's see what we come up with. This will be a work in progress to where you can share with your friends, family, or businesses.